Wednesday, October 23, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich, and here we go. We have some significant new lows in stock market indexes on the downside. This could be, I think it is the start, well, the needed follow through to the downside to cause a break big enough to be labeled the October lows. We're going to find out in the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry, one more week. We don't have that much more time. Double checking. Yeah, a week and a day. Thursday of next week is the last day of October. How low is low? If I'm right, this daily vertical bar chart on the E-mini, and I always start with the stock indexes, go to futures, and sometimes other charts, like probably this Friday, I again, like I've done for almost every Friday for a couple of months now, show you the history of the October lows. I just hope it doesn't crash too much before Friday. So here we go. New lows for approximately a week, week and a half, and that stands for the indexes in a general sense. There's different number of days, but around, 5, 7, 8, 9, maybe past days. We're going to stay here. We're low and last. We're going to close below previous lows and closes for a little bit like a week and a half on the E-mini. This looks like the first stop on the downside should be the lows that we saw early this month. And that would be right around 57 and a quarter, 57.25. Now, that's just bare minimums. I think that's not going to hold. And I'm looking for at least a move down to approximately 54.80. Call it 5,500, a little under 55.00 to match or get lower than the lows made in early September. So at least October will be lower than September. Now, my real expectation, my hope, and I think it's going to be too far down, is going to get down to the support area, which is basically at 51.80 down to about 50.90, or call it 51 flat. So down close to 5,100, below 52, 51, somewhere in that zone. That would be just fantastic in terms of my forecast. Now, I'm not bearish. This is nothing more than a correction if I'm right. In a longer-term bull market, I have no expectation it's going to turn into a bear market by any means. There's just three particularly prominent and obvious levels at which it should stop going down on an intermediate term basis. In my case, now that I'm running out of time, within the next week. So again, below 52 seems like an awful lot. I doubt that that is going to happen. Almost positively not. So what's my other choice here? Well, we're back up to 55 to 54, 50-ish. That yellow zone there. That'd be okay, but nothing to compare with last year and the year before. Remember, the October lows have had over 90% of the time in the last 31 years since 1993, prominent, significant, obvious buying opportunity in October. And I'll let that junk phone call pass by. They will hang up in just a moment. Now, the 1 minute, no, I'm going to show you 5-minute charts, is currently nosediving a bit. So we have a new low for the day in the last few minutes. We're approaching another minor support area, which would be 58.15 in some detail. I don't think that's going to hold. I think we could very easily get down today to 57.78. Yeah, I think there's a good chance of it. Remember, we got an hour and 45 minutes, plenty of time. And when these bear moves, downside corrections start, they're usually a lot faster than bull moves going up, because bear moves are partially panicking, especially the end of a really big one, which I'm not expecting a really big one. Wouldn't surprise me completely, but I don't think that's going to happen. Next chart is the spider. Of course, is doing the same thing the E-mini is. New lows for approximately the last 6-7 days. downside objective very likely to be in the next day or two. And I don't think this is going to be the end of the decline for the next week. Oh, 573. And we're 78. Another 5 points. We're down about 5 right now. There's nothing out of the ordinary about a 10-point down day. It's big, but it certainly has happened in the last year several times. Next chart is our QQQ daily data. It looks like it's about to have a new low close for the last, about 2 weeks now. And if it gets down a little bit more below 487.30-ish, it'll be a new low. Not just a new low close, but also a new low for the same approximate number of days, about 2 weeks worth. That's good for me, my expectations. What about the Qs? Where is it going to go down to? First support, 480 to 475. I really think, and I want in a week, 450 to 435. Next, 5-minute chart on the QQQ, coming close to new lows. There are probably a bunch of sell stops underneath here. Maybe a little bit of buying just above it, but we're there already, sort of. We'll see if it holds or not. We got the NASDAQ futures, again, like the QQQ. E-mini to the SPY, same thing. So new lows have been made, and we look like we're going to close, should close, I think even lower than this, below the lows for the last 2 weeks. Good. What I think we're going to do in the next week or so is 18.725, 18.725. I really doubt we're going to get down to 17.625. So I'm calling for the next week or so, 18.7, 30, 40, 50, somewhere around the lows that were made at the beginning of September. Next chart, dropping like a rock, hit new lows, hit stops, new low for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 weeks, maybe in 1 day. Great. Finally, I'm getting some downside follow through. Good. YM kind of leading the way down here, but I think actually it was the NASDAQ that was leading the way down, new lows for a larger number of days. But the YM didn't have a bearish engulfing at the top, unfortunately. I think these were exactly the same tick, or within 2 or 3 ticks. No new high. If it had made a new high, I would have had a bearish engulfing sell signal. So close. Straight down, since almost a signal, and I like it. Where's it going to go? The lows made here in early September. I don't think it's going to hold at 42,100. I think that's going to get broken. Next, we got the 1 minute, 5-minute chart on the YM. Now the Russell. Resistance stopped the rally, overbought condition, new low again. Now starting to come back into a fairly weakened support area, the red zone. But I'm thinking 2100, and I can't rule out 19, let's call it 2000. 5-minute chart on the Russell, doing the same thing, nose diving like most everything else. Now, bonds. Well, I'm going to start with the big picture and then go to the little one. This has turned out to be a great call. I got all the reasons that I needed. I said what I had to say weeks ago, and it has come true past tense as of the last day or two. But here's the new call. Excuse me. For a very large double shoulder, head and shoulder bottom. The first shoulder is a little double bottom in itself, and that's basically October, November of 22. We'll call it October 22. That's when the lowest low occurred. Second shoulder, inside shoulder, March of 23. As you can see, approximately 5-6 months later. Then October again of last year, the bottom with a buy signal at the bottom. That's what I love. This system picks major long-term bottoms and often enough short-term turning points. I mean, how often do you get the lowest low for a year? Well, it takes a year to prove it at least. So not very often. Has to have a move like this to prove that it was the lowest low for a whole damn year so far. Now, the inside shoulder, because of a double shoulder, was April of this year. And are we having now, about 6 months later, October, the last shoulder low? Maybe. I think so. This is extremely important for long-term investors in a whole variety of reasons. If we do bottom out approximately at this time period, give or take a week or two, or even as much as a month, and approximately in the price range that we are right now, maybe a little bit lower, I could see the possibility of it coming down even to below 14. Although at the moment, I don't think that's going to happen. Because of the oversold condition we've got now and the support area we're in right now, I think it's very possible, like I put on this chart a month ago, well, 3 weeks ago at least, the market I hoped would get here, it did. When I wanted it to get here, it did. So the time and price I forecasted turned out at this point on the downside, bullseye. Will it start going up? We have a lower low today. We're oversold. We're in a little support area. And currently it is down a few ticks, 9 ticks, nothing substantial. I would love to see a bullish engulfing, a green ER signal, but we don't have it yet. Conditions are right. I'd love to see something as profound as what we had last October on October 23rd. Okay, 10-year notes, almost exactly the same story. Double shoulders, same dates and times, give or take a few days. Prices are different, levels are different. The formation is the same. The upside objectives are just as simply as profound. And I didn't mention the upside objective on bonds is about 150 plus. Huge. The upside objective on the double shoulder, head and shoulder bottom, taking 2 years to form, and we're not finished. This is the last shoulder low. I hope, I think, I expect, I'm forecasting it's got to start to work. We're down, new lows, oversold 2 days in a row, very accurately, close to my turning point, but a few days late. In the yellow box, I drew that weeks ago. And that's great. I got to where I wanted, when I wanted, and I gave it a zone. Will it turn back up? I certainly hope so. We are still short. One trade from the top of the market on September 19th. And zooming into that, so to speak, there's your sell signal on the high day. Got short the next day with an ER3 position trade. And that line right there is still active, low and last almost, doing fabulous. We're 111 and a couple of ticks, and we sold it at 15 and a half. We also had a couple other great trades too. Next, crude. A doji today, a little bit lower. Not quite sure what's happening here. My preference is basically, I got to be bearish. Gigantic pennant broke out to the downside. Resistance stopped rallies, overbought conditions, sell signals smack dab on top. We got out of the short trade just a day or two ago, 4 days ago, with a great profit. There's your trade line. There's your offset down here. Now, yeah, it was the high of the low day, but at least I got out on the low day. And we're now trading as well as yesterday, higher than my offset price. So, I'm neutral to bearish on crude. We have a sell signal at the top of the market on the heating oil also, and I showed you the day it happened. No excuses. Plus the fact that we got up to the ER3 new short level 2 days after the sell signal. That's the ER3 trigger line right there. Sold it almost at the high, not quite. Corn is better. And today, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, new sell signal in gold you'll see in just a couple of minutes. Gold has a sell signal today, so far. So back to heating oil. Got out of our short down here, now trading higher. But in general, I can't justify anything bullish here. I'm still basically bearish. Obviously, for a long time, about a year and a month, we've seen lower highs and lower highs and lower highs and lower lows on the average. Probably it's going to go down to 2.0. Natural gas, sell signal smack dab on top, showed you the day it happened. Or if it happened after my YouTube, it was the next day. Got short, ER1 overnight. State ER3 never got high enough to get an ER3 trade, so we missed that. But the ER1 short overnight, we got out 2 days ago, about where we are, a little bit higher. I think it's trying to bottom out. It's at previous lows a couple of months ago. It is very oversold. I think it's trying to turn. Do I need more evidence? Like closing above 2.37. Let's see what happens. Bearish engulfing in gold today, right now. Brand new sell signal. Obviously, today's a high day. It's the top of the market on the day it happened, kind of by default. How far down are we about to go if it works? Minimum 26.95, and that's going to be very, very easy. Next stop, these lows down here at 26.18, but really probably down to 25.60. Next chart. We have so close. One tick is missing. Today's high is exactly the same as yesterday's high to the tick. Silver, if it had one tick higher high today, we would have a bearish engulfing red signal like gold. It's missing a single new high tick. Frustration. So you could treat it like a bearish engulfing red sell signal if you want, but it is not. In fact, it's missing the higher high. Today's high is exactly the same as yesterday's high. Where's it going? I think it's good enough to be a sell signal, so I'm going to treat it like that. Support, it's already testing already today's lows. Bottom of support, definitely 32.44. But there's a healthy amount of support down in this range here. Let's call it 30 and a half, down to about 30. The really good support is way down at about 27.6 down to 27. Next. Platinum's a little different. We're not overbought. We came pretty close. We do have the higher high, but since it's not overbought within the allotted number of look-back days, if not today, we're not going to get red, even if it is a bearish engulfing, which would be bearish, but it's only because a bearish engulfing candlestick is normally bearish. Not like I treat it, not like the ER signals treat them. Much differently. Absolute signal, not just, it'll go down a little bit. Anyway, not quite all the criteria, unfortunately, but it is at resistance, having trouble, looking like it's reversing. So I'm going to start talking about the downside, and that would be probably down to a minimum of 953 and down even lower than that. I'm going to call it 925. That seems the most likely. That's it for platinum. Copper, down on the day. We got stopped out of our previous short that we sold on a rally, almost the high of the day, back on October 2nd. Great trade, super trade going up. Small loss on this one, red. Profitable trade there. Small profitable trade there. Huge profitable trade there. And so far, well, it's out. We're out 2 days ago. Profitable trade there. So what next? Well, I'm kind of sad I'm out of my short, looks like it's going to make new lows again. But you can't cry over spilled milk. Bearish, looking for a move down to probably 4. Next, soybeans, oversold, general support area from previous bottoms in August, starting to turn up, looking a little bit better here. Nice, but not great. Where are we going to bounce up to? Well, it's already gotten to the first stopping point. Yesterday's highs, now today's a little bit higher. Probably up to, 1030 again, and maybe even up to 1070. This could go down as a broad double bottom over a 2.5-month time frame, 2-month time frame. If we are another month or 2 or 3 from now, and we're starting to trade around 1070 or higher, then it's going to look very much like a double bottom. This could be the beginning of something interesting. That's one of the first comments I've made for an intermediate to longer term grain bullish comment. So, soybean oil just plain turned around. Couldn't come up with an answer as to why on that. Rallying fairly nicely, nothing much. Neutral RSI. It's a matter of it can make new highs or not. Had a bullish a bearish short profitable trade right there. Got out 4 days, 5 days ago. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what's happening here. Anything intermediate to longer term that I should be interested in? Not really. Just a huge, gigantic miss. Got short at the top of the market. We had a buy near, but not really good, at the bottom, near the bottom. That was a great bottom buy. No. Small profit. No. Great. Well, we got the bottom of the market. That's all I can say so far. Recently, on a bullish engulfing, March 1st, and that's way back in March. Sorry, that was not the current. Okay, here we are. So I'm going to lean slightly in the friendly direction up, but I don't really have much more to say. Wheat. Trying to have a bullish engulfing. Was oversold a few days ago. If we have an outside update today, and yesterday's high was 320.2 in meal. Today's high is 320.1. All we need is 2 more upticks above the high, and we'll have a green bullish engulfing buy signal. I'd love that. Right now, we're just barely higher by 4 ticks. But I want to get up to 320.30, 30 cents, 320.30. Then it will turn green. I'll have a signal. I'll have something to lean on for a brand new buy signal. And I think the relevance of crossing major bear trend lines, coming back to test the lines and starting to make new highs after being oversold with a buy signal, which we don't have yet, is sounding a lot more friendly. Yeah, we could be doing something on the long side of grain here. Let's look at corn. Oh my God. We had a sell signal right there. Overnight, ER1 went all the way down to October 17th, got stopped out near the high of the day, but that day was the low day. And that day, October 17th, is so far the bottom of the market. And it turns out it was a buy signal, a bullish ER engulfing. Fantastic. So, scalp trade, overnight trade from the bottom. We're still short another, or we're short another trade from October 10th, ER3. Within 2 ticks of the high of the day, we sold short, pre-decided, pre-planned. You could have seen it on my Zooms 2 days earlier. They don't change. It's a mathematical calculation, which is not far from the middle of the range of the signal day. We also could have, would have, should have had another new short ER3 overnight on that day, October 11th, but we don't add to any previous short with the same strategy. ER3 overnight was already in a trade. So ER3 overnight wouldn't be added to, but it could have been if you wanted the next day. It obviously went above around the middle of the previous signal day, which was just the day earlier. Okay, out of shorts 2 days ago into brand new long positions, in particular yesterday, which was another bullish engulfing ER buy signals. We had 2 on the way down. We've got 2 on the way up. And on the way up, it includes the lowest low. This market is popping up very, very nicely. 275 higher at the moment, clearly new highs, long both, looking great. What can I say? It's one of the best combinations I have seen ever. Next, wheat. Coming up a little, nothing particularly significant. If it makes new highs for a month or two, longer term bullish stuff is going to start to kick in. I think it's going to flounder around in here and maybe drop off a little bit more. Cattle. If it does get below yesterday's low, it'll have a bearish engulfing, but it wasn't overbought within the allotted number of previous days, which is still a secret. The higher high today means a lower low today. If it happens, and it has not happened yet, it'll be a bearish engulfing candlestick. And in resistance, those two things cause me a little bit bearish expectations. Let's go look at the E-mini again. Hogs first, I'm sorry. It is bearish today, overbought. Did make on the opening the higher high. It is almost down to unchanged right now and has been unchanged. If it got below yesterday's low, we would have a gigantic bearish sell signal, big red. Hasn't happened yet. My system is already looking at this and saying, we're going to go short if it goes below yesterday's lows. E-mini. Down 7. Breaking. Well, not Breaking Bad. It was a great show. Still is. Wow. Okay, waterfall. That's what I nickname this kind of a decline. And it could be at 10:37 California time at the moment, dropping a chunk more before the day is out. This looks like it's got momentum. All of the little bounces that we have seen so far since it started to break into new low ground for a few days have been feeble, stopping at no man's land or classic stop levels. And we're almost low and last and have been low and last in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Same thing for the SPY as you would expect, of course. What about the NASDAQ? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wow, okay. We have now made it lower than the lows since October 9th. I would love to see a new low for the whole month of October at a very bare minimum. Remember, I really want to get down to the lows of September or lower than September lows. You have a great day. Profitable trading to you.